My brother promised he'd find the best nursing home for my mom. Instead, he chose the cheapest one in the county and pocketed the difference while she lay in the dark, her calls for help going unanswered. For 3 weeks, I had no idea. Mom still phoned every morning at 6:15, so I believed she was safe. Her voice grew thinner. Her calls became shorter. Then one Tuesday, nothing, no call, no voicemail, no answer. When I phoned her room, I called the facility 4 times. 4 different people picked up. Not one knew her name. I drove 4 hours unannounced. I found yellowed sheets, an empty water cup, and a call button ripped from the wall. My mother looked at me like she'd been waiting. She had. She just had no way to tell me. What I did over the next 72 hours put 3 staff members in handcuffs and exposed a betrayal from my own family I never saw coming. My name is Tori Nunn. I'm 42. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Now, let me take you back to that Tuesday morning in March, the day my phone went silent. My mother, Margaret Nunn, everyone calls her Maggie, taught 3rd grade at Barton Elementary for 35 years. She retired 8 years ago, but she never stopped living by a school day clock. Every morning at 6:15 sharp, my phone rang. Didn't matter if it was a holiday. Didn't matter if there was a blizzard. Didn't matter that my father had been gone for 5 years. She called. She asked if I had eaten breakfast. She told me what the weather looked like from her kitchen window. She reminded me to take my vitamin D. Then she always said, "All right, baby. Go save some lives." 'Cause that's what she believed nurse practitioners do all day, save lives. Sometimes we do. Most days we're arguing with insurance companies over prior authorizations, but I never corrected her. I work at a community hospital outside Richmond, Virginia. 12-hour shifts on a rotating schedule every 3rd weekend. I live alone in a 2-bedroom apartment filled with too many plants. My mother lives 4 hours southwest in the same house she's called home for 41 years, in a small town where the post office and the diner share a parking lot. 2 months ago, she had a hip replacement. The surgery went well, but recovery was slow. She needed daily rehab, physical therapy, help getting in and out of bed, and careful medication management. She couldn't manage alone, and I couldn't take 3 months off work to move in with her. That's when my brother Derek called. Derek is 47. He lives just 40 minutes from Mom and has held her power of attorney since Dad died. I agreed to it because he was closer, because it made logistical sense, and because I felt guilty for building a career 4 hours away while he stayed behind. He said he'd found a place for Mom, a nursing home, technically a rehabilitation center, but everyone knows what it really is. It's the best one, he told me. I checked myself. I asked for specifics. What's the staff-to-patient ratio? Do they have a dedicated physical therapist on site? What did the most recent state inspection say? Tori, relax. It's a nice place. Clean hallways, friendly staff. Did you read the inspection reports? I drove out there myself. Trust me. That phrase, trust me, has done a lot of heavy lifting in our family for years. Derek handled Dad's estate. Derek managed the home repairs after the storm. Derek coordinated Mom's doctor appointments because he was 40 minutes away and I was 4 hours away. Every time I asked for details, I got the same answer, trust me. So I did. 'Cause what was the alternative? I was the one who left. I was the one who chose graduate school in Richmond over staying home. I was the one who built a career while Derek, who never finished college and bounced between real estate gigs and rental properties, stayed close and kept the lights on. That guilt is its own kind of gravity. Pulls you into agreements you'd never sign with a clear head. Derek had Mom moved into Meadow Ridge Care Center on a Thursday. That evening he sent me a photo. Mom sitting in the garden area, sunlight on her face, smiling. She was wearing the blue cardigan I bought her for Christmas. Place looked clean, green lawn, a bench with a plaque. I saved the photo. I called Mom that night. She sounded tired but okay. The room is small, she said. But the aide who helped me unpack was sweet. Give it a few days, Mom. You'll settle in. I know, baby. I just miss my kitchen. I told her I'd visit soon. I meant it. But my schedule that week had me working 5 12-hour shifts in a row and soon became later and later became 3 weeks. First 2 weeks everything seemed normal. Mom called at 6:15. She told me about the physical therapist, a young man with big hands, very gentle. She said the food was bland but edible. She asked about my patience. She reminded me about vitamin D. But I started noticing small things. Her voice was thinner. She paused in places she never used to pause. One morning she said, "I'm just a little tired today," and hung up after 4 minutes. My mother has never willingly ended a phone call in under 15 minutes. The woman once talked to a telemarketer for 20 minutes because she felt bad hanging up. I asked if she was okay. She said yes. Derek sent me another photo. Mom in the same garden, same angle, same blue cardigan. I stared at it for a long time. The shadows were identical to the first photo, same time of day, same bench. I zoomed in. Same plaque, same crack in the sidewalk, same leaf on the ground near her left shoe. It was the exact same picture. I texted him, "Is that from today?" He replied 20 minutes later, "Yeah, took it this morning." I didn't say anything. I filed it away in the part of my brain that catalogs things that don't add up. Week 3, Monday. Mom called at 6:15. Call lasted 2 minutes. In the background, I heard a buzzing, repetitive like a call button ringing somewhere down the hall. She said, "I have to go, baby." She sounded out of breath. Tuesday at 6:15 came. Then 6:30. Then 6:45. Nothing. I called her room phone. No answer. I called the front desk at Meadow Ridge. They put me on hold for 11 minutes, then the line went dead. I called back. A different voice answered. I asked to speak with my mother, Margaret Nunn, room 118. She's resting right now. It's 9 in the morning. She doesn't rest at 9. I can take a message. I called again at noon. Different person. She's in therapy at 2. She's eating at 4. She's resting again. Called Derek. She's probably just adjusting, he said. It takes time. Derek, she hasn't called me in 2 days. She calls every single morning. Maybe she's tired. The therapy wears her out. Can you drive over and check on her? Just look in on her. I'll swing by this weekend. Today, Derek. Not this weekend. Today. He sighed. That particular sigh he does when he thinks I'm being dramatic. Tori, you're 4 hours away. You don't see the full picture. I asked for a return call within 2 hours. No one called back. Here's what I noticed, and maybe you've noticed it too if you've ever dealt with a place like this. Every time I called, a different person answered. Not one of them said Mom's name before I did. Not one said, "Oh yes, Mrs. Nunn. Let me check on her." They didn't know who she was. They were reading a name off a board, if they were reading anything at all. When a facility can't tell you which nurse is assigned to your mother, that's not a scheduling issue. That's a system running on autopilot with nobody at the wheel. I sat in the break room at the hospital Wednesday evening, still in my scrubs, staring at my phone. No missed calls. No voicemail. Nothing from Mom, nothing from Meadow Ridge, nothing from Derek. I'm a nurse practitioner. I've worked in acute care for 16 years. I've seen what happens when elderly patients fall through the cracks at long-term facilities. I've admitted them to my unit, dehydrated, disoriented, skin breaking down over pressure points nobody bothered to check. I've written it in charts. Stage 2 pressure ulcer, Origin skilled nursing facility. Significant dehydration. Malnutrition. I've called family members and watched them cry in the hallway. I know what neglect looks like when it arrives at a hospital bed. I know what it smells like. I know how long it takes for a stage 1 pressure injury to become an open wound. 72 hours, sometimes less, in an elderly patient who isn't being repositioned. And now I was sitting in that break room imagining my own mother in one of those beds. Every clinical alarm in my brain was screaming. If I wait, I lose time. If Mom is dehydrated, every hour without fluids pushes her closer to a UTI, which pushes her closer to sepsis. If she's not being repositioned, the skin over her sacrum is already under pressure. If her medications are being skipped, her blood pressure could be dangerously high or dangerously low. I called Derek one last time. Derek, I need you to go check on Mom today. Not this weekend. Today. You're overreacting. She's fine. Have you talked to her? Pause. I've been busy. Derek, have you talked to Mom since she moved in? Another pause. Longer. I'll call the facility tomorrow. That was the last time I asked Derek for anything. Thursday, 4:45 a.m. My shift doesn't start until 7, but I'm already dressed. I call my supervisor, Karen. She picks up on the second ring because charge nurses never sleep properly. Karen, I need today off. It's my mother. Karen knows me. She knows I haven't called in sick in 3 years. She knows I don't ask for things unless something is wrong. Go, she says. I'll cover your patients. Go. I'm on the interstate by 5. The sun isn't up yet. I drive west through the suburbs, then south through farmland, past tobacco barns and dollar stores and churches with hand-painted signs. Virginia gets quiet out here. Towns get smaller. The cell signal gets weaker. Somewhere around mile 160, I pass a billboard. White background, blue text, stock photo of a smiling elderly couple. The sign reads, Meadow Ridge Care Center. Quality care. Compassionate staff. There's a phone number underneath with a local area code. I've called that number 9 times in the past 3 days. Nobody there knows my mother's name. I pull into the Meadow Ridge parking lot at 9:12 a.m., 4 hours and 27 minutes from my apartment. The lot is nearly empty. 3 cars, a maintenance van, and a handicap shuttle with a flat tire. The building is single-story beige brick, built maybe 30 years ago. The garden from Derek's photo is there, the bench, the plaque, but the lawn is patchy and the flower bed is nothing but mulch and weeds. I walk to the front entrance. The double doors are locked. There's a buzzer. I press it. I wait. I press it again. 4 minutes pass before someone opens the door, a woman in scrubs holding a sandwich. She doesn't ask who I am. She doesn't ask for ID. She just jerks her head toward the front counter. Sign-in's over there. The lobby is clean enough. Fake flowers in a plastic vase. A whiteboard with today's activities written in blue marker, but the listed date is 9 days old. The television in the corner plays a morning show with the sound off. I sign the visitor log. The last entry is 4 days old. Someone named Patricia visited room 106. A full week between visitors. I scan the entire page. No entry for Derek. None. Not on this page. I flip back. Not on the previous page either. I walk past the front station. The hallway is bright, fluorescent lights, tile floor, handrails on both sides. Rooms 101 through 117. Doors open or ajar. I can hear televisions, a radio, someone talking on the phone. Then I turn the corner toward the east wing. The lights are dimmer here. 2 of the overhead fluorescents are out. The floor is the same tile, but it hasn't been mopped recently. I can see scuff marks and a dried spill near the baseboard. The air changes. It's heavier. There's a smell I recognize from work, the sour, sharp edge of urine that hasn't been cleaned up properly. Room 118 is the last door on the left. The hallway dead ends 3 feet past it at a fire exit. No window on this end. No natural light. I knock on Mom's door. No answer. I knock again. Nothing. I push the door open. The room is dark. Blackout curtains drawn. The overhead light is off. Takes my eyes a moment to adjust, and then I see her. Mom is lying in bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. She doesn't turn her head when the door opens. The sheets underneath her are yellowed. On the nightstand, there's a plastic cup, empty, with a dried ring at the bottom where water used to be. I reach for the call button clipped to her bed rail and press it. Nothing happens. I press it again. No sound at the nurse's station. I follow the cord with my hand. It ends 2 inches from the wall jack, unplugged, hanging loose behind the bed. Mom! She turns her head slowly. Her eyes find me and something shifts, like a light turning on behind frosted glass. Tori! I'm here, Mom. I pull a chair to the bedside and take her hand. Her skin is dry, paper dry, the kind of dehydration you feel before you see it. I check her pulse, fast, thready. Her lips are cracked. Corners of her mouth are white. I go into clinical mode because that's the only thing keeping me upright. I check her mucous membranes. Dry. I press the skin on the back of her hand. Tense and holds for 3 seconds before flattening. Moderate dehydration. I look at her eyes, slightly sunken, dull. I ask her when she last drank water. She doesn't remember. I ask her to roll toward me. She winces. I lift the hem of her gown and look at the skin over her sacrum. There it is, a 3-inch area of reddened, non-blanching skin. Stage 1 pressure injury, not broke. Her evening blood pressure medication is logged as given at 11 p.m. for 4 straight nights, but the pill organizer on the table still has 4 evening doses sitting untouched. They've been signing the log without giving her the medication. Mom squeezes my hand. They don't come when I call, Tori. I look at the nightstand. The framed photo of our family, Dad, Mom, Derek, and me, taken at Thanksgiving 6 years ago, is gone. Mom, where's the photo that was on your table? The night lady took it. She said it was cluttering the space. I walk to the nurse's station at the end of the east wing. There is no nurse there. There's an aide, mid-20s, sitting in a rolling chair scrolling through her phone. A half-eaten bag of chips sits open on the counter next to a clipboard. Excuse me. I'm Tori Nunn. My mother is in room 118. I need to speak with the charge nurse. The aide doesn't look up immediately. When she does, she blinks like I've woken her from a nap. She's on break. When will she be back? I don't know. Maybe 30 minutes. Who's responsible for the East Wing right now? I am. Are you a nurse? I'm a CNA. How many rooms are you covering? She shrugs. 20, give or take. My mother's call button has been disconnected from the wall. Her water cup is empty. Her medication log doesn't match her pill organizer, and she has a pressure injury forming on her sacrum. The aide stares at me. Then she shrugs again. We're short-staffed. I can't be everywhere. I need to speak with the administrator, Craig Petton. He's not in today. It's Thursday, 10 in the morning. He doesn't come in every day. I need to speak with the director of nursing. She's not here either. I stand at that counter and feel every word land on the linoleum and lie there. Nobody in charge. Nobody accountable. Nobody who can tell me why my mother is lying in a dark room at the end of a dead-end hallway with dry lips and no way to call for help. I walk back to room 118. I close the door. I sit down next to my mother and take her hand again. I'm not leaving. Not yet. Not until I know exactly what happens in this room when no one is watching. I know Virginia law, one-party consent state. If one person in the conversation agrees to be recorded, it's legal. My mother is that person. She is 78 years old, sharp as a tack, and she has every right to know what happens in her own room. I sit on the edge of her bed and explain what I want to do. She listens without interrupting. 35 years of managing 8-year-olds taught her how to listen. I want to see it too, she says. I want you to see what they do at night. That's consent. Clear. Voluntary. Competent. I drive 20 minutes to the nearest Walmart. I buy a small camera designed to look like a digital desk clock. $34.99. I buy a new set of sheets, 2 bottles of water, a tube of barrier cream, and a pack of washcloths. I drive back. I set up the camera on her nightstand, angled to cover the bed and the doorway. Connect it to my phone. The feed is live. I test it. Picture is clear. Audio picks up normal conversation from across the room. Then I do what the staff should have been doing. I help Mom drink 2 full glasses of water. I change her sheets. I clean and apply barrier cream to the reddened area on her sacrum. I reposition her pillows. I reconnect the call button and test it. It buzzes at the nurse's station. Someone will have to walk past the sound to ignore it. Now, before I leave, I type an email on my phone to the facility's general address. This email serves as formal notification that electronic monitoring equipment has been installed in room 118 with the written consent of the resident, Margaret Nunn, in accordance with Virginia state law. I hit send. I screenshot the sent confirmation. On the drive home, I called Derek. I went to see Mom today. She's dehydrated. She has a pressure injury starting. Her call button was unplugged. Silence. Then, you're exaggerating. You always do this. You show up once and think you know everything. When was the last time you were there, Derek? I've been managing this for months, Tori. That's not what I asked. He hangs up. I drive 4 hours back to Richmond with the camera feed open on my phone propped against the dashboard. Mom is sleeping. The room is dark. No one enters. I'm sitting in my car in a Walmart parking lot in rural Virginia, holding a camera the size of a deck of cards. And I'm thinking, how many of you have that feeling right now, that knot in your stomach because someone you love is in a place you can't watch over every day? Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever shown up unannounced to check on a parent? I want to hear your story. Now, let me tell you what that camera recorded. I go back the next day, Friday, another 4-hour drive. I bring supplies, fresh sheets, water bottles, snacks, a new blanket because the one Dad gave Mom is gone and I don't know where they put it. I bring her favorite lotion and a new framed photo for the nightstand. When I walk into the East Wing, there's a woman standing outside room 114. She's my mother's age, maybe early 60s, holding a tote bag and looking at the floor like it owes her money. She looks up when she hears my footsteps. You're Maggie's daughter. I am. I'm Linda Oakes. My mother is in 114 across the hall. We step outside into the parking lot where the walls can't hear us. Your mother told my mother about you, Linda says. She said you were a nurse. She said you'd come eventually. She was waiting. Linda's mother has been at Meadow Ridge for 4 months. She's lost 8 pounds. Linda filed a formal complaint with the administrator twice. Both times she received the same response. We'll look into it. Both times nothing changed. They smile at you and then close the door, Linda says. And behind that door, nothing happens. No one comes. No one checks. My mother called me crying last week. She said she rang the bell for 40 minutes before someone brought her to the bathroom. I don't tell Linda about the camera. Not yet. But I take her phone number. If you need someone to back you up, she says, call me. I've been trying to do this alone for 4 months. It doesn't work alone. I put her number in my phone under Linda Meadow Ridge. I don't know it yet, but this woman is going to stand next to me on the worst and best day of this entire ordeal. Friday night. I'm home in Richmond. Mom is asleep on the camera feed. I open my laptop and log into her bank account. She gave me the credentials years ago, back when Dad was sick and someone needed to manage the bills while she was at the hospital every day. I pull up the transaction history for the last 6 months. Mom's long-term care insurance pays out $6,200 per month. That's what the policy covers. It was a good policy, the kind Dad insisted on buying 30 years ago, even when they couldn't afford it. One of us will need it someday, he said. He was right. Meadow Ridge charges $3,800 per month for a semi-private room. Mom is in a private room, but the rate is the same because they had availability. So the insurance pays $6,200. The facility takes $3,800 and the remaining $2,400 should be sitting in Mom's account. It's not. Every month on the 15th, there's an automatic transfer of $2,400 from Mom's account to an entity I've never seen before. D. Nunn Property Holdings, LLC. I searched the name. It's registered in Virginia. Sole member, Derek Allen Nunn. Registered agent, Derek Allen Nunn. The LLC was filed 14 months ago, 6 months before Mom's hip surgery, 8 months before she moved into Meadow Ridge. He set this up before she even needed care. 5 months of transfers, $2,400 per month. That's $12,000 of my mother's money routed into my brother's real estate company. The same company he told the family he'd shut down after his investment deal collapsed. I screenshot every transaction, every transfer date, every confirmation number. I saved them in a folder on my desktop labeled Mr. Documentation. I don't call Derek. There's nothing he can say that will change what these numbers show. And I'm not done collecting evidence. Friday night, 11:14 p.m. I'm lying in bed with my phone propped on the pillow next to me, watching the camera feed from room 118. The room is dark. Mom is asleep on her back, which worries me because she should be repositioned onto her side to relieve pressure on her sacrum. Nobody has come in to turn her. 11:22, the call button light blinks on. Mom has pressed it. I can hear the faint buzz from the nurse's station through the feed. She presses it again. 11:25, 11:31. 11:38, nobody comes. 11:49, the door opens. A woman walks in. Probs ID badge, no gloves. She flips the overhead light on full. Mom flinches and raises a hand to shield her eyes. The woman, I'll learn later her name is Donna Hale, the night shift charge nurse, walks to the bedside table. She picks up the medication log. She clicks a pen. She writes something. She initials the 11 p.m. medication entry. She does not open the pill organizer. She does not hand my mother any medication. She does not offer water. She does not check on the pressure injury. She does not ask Mom how she's feeling. 11 seconds. That's how long she's in the room. I time it on my phone. On the way out, she flips the light off without a word. The door clicks shut. Mom lies in the dark. I hear her voice, thin, aimed at the closed door. Excuse me, I need water, please. The hallway is silent. I sit in my kitchen in Richmond, 4 hours away, watching my mother ask an empty room for a glass of water. My hands are shaking. I want to drive down there right now and pull her out. But one bad night is an excuse. 3 bad nights is a pattern, and a pattern is a case. Saturday, I watch the footage from the overnight in real time while I sit at my kitchen table with a legal pad, taking clinical notes the way I document a patient assessment at work. Here's what the camera recorded between midnight and 8 a.m. Mom pressed the call button 5 times. Response time 0. No one came, not once. 2:12 a.m., she tried to stand up on her own to reach the water pitcher on the far side of the nightstand. She got her legs over the edge of the bed, gripped the bed rail and swayed. Her right foot slipped on the tile. She caught herself barely and sat back down. If she'd fallen, she would have hit the floor alone in a dark room with a disconnected call system and a charge nurse who was signing medication logs for drugs she never administered. I'm a nurse practitioner. I know exactly what a ground-level fall does to a 78-year-old woman 2 months out from a hip replacement. It's not a bruise. It's a fracture. Surgery. It's weeks in a hospital. It's the beginning of a decline that most patients her age don't recover from. The morning shift brings a different aide. He walks in at 8:15. The medication log shows a signature at 8 a.m., 15 minutes before he arrives. He initials the column, glances at the pill organizer, and leaves. He does not give Mom her morning blood pressure medication. Pill is still in the organizer when I check the camera 20 minutes later. 2 consecutive missed doses of antihypertensive medication in a 78-year-old patient. That's not an oversight. In my world, that's a reportable event. If she strokes out because her blood pressure spikes, the people who signed that log are responsible. Every instinct tells me to drive down there and pull her out. But I need the pattern. 1 bad night is an excuse. 3 bad nights is a system. Saturday night, 2:14 a.m. on the camera feed. Mom presses the call button. This time it works. I reconnected the wire myself. I can hear the buzz at the nurse's station faintly through the audio. 15 minutes later, the door opens. A young man in scrubs walks in. I'll learn his name is Ray Schofield, 29. Night aide. Mom asks to use the bathroom again. He says, "You just went." She didn't. The last time anyone entered the room was 4 hours ago, and that was Donna signing the medication log she never delivered. But Ray either can't keep track of 20 rooms or doesn't care enough to try. "Please," Mom says. Her voice is small. Ray sighs, audible on the recording, and helps her to the edge of the bed. He grabs her arm above the elbow and pulls her upright too fast. She gasps. He doesn't pause. He walks her to the bathroom with one hand on her back, pushing more than guiding, and parks her on the toilet. "Call when you're done," he says, and walks out of the bathroom, leaving the door open. Mom sits there. Camera catches her reflection in the bathroom mirror. A 78-year-old woman alone, holding the grab bar with both hands, looking at the floor. 3 minutes later, Ray comes back. On his way out of the room, the door stays open. I hear his voice in the hallway talking to someone. "Donna, 118 is needed." She hits that button every 5 minutes. Donna's reply is clear on the audio. "Just unplug it again." Again. That word sits in my chest like a stone. Again. Meaning this isn't the first time. Meaning they were unplugging my mother's only connection to help before I ever installed a camera. Meaning the broken call button I found on Thursday wasn't broken at all. It was deliberate. Sunday morning, 5:40 a.m. on the camera feed. Mom is asleep. Ray enters the room without knocking. He doesn't turn on the light. He uses the flashlight on his phone, sweeping it quickly across the bed to check that she's still there. Then he opens the nightstand drawer. He pulls out the wool blanket. I recognize it immediately, cream-colored cable knit with a small moth hole in the corner that Mom always meant to fix. Dad bought it for her at a craft fair in Roanoke the year before he died. It's the last thing he ever gave her. Ray folds it, tucks it under his arm, walks out. He takes my mother's blanket from her room while she sleeps, and he doesn't look back. I rewind the footage 3 times to make sure I'm seeing it correctly. Each time the same thing. He opens the drawer. He takes the blanket. He leaves. That afternoon, Donna enters. She sees the clean sheets I put on the bed 2 days ago. She strips them off, bundles them into the laundry cart in the hallway, comes back with a facility sheet, thin, yellowed, pilled at the edges, and spreads it across the mattress. No fitted sheet underneath, just the flat sheet tucked loosely. Mom watches her, says nothing. Donna looks at her. Your daughter can't keep bringing things from home. This isn't a hotel. Mom lowers her eyes. She doesn't argue. She doesn't press the call button. She doesn't say a word. And I understand something watching this footage that breaks me in a way the medical neglect didn't. They've trained her. 3 weeks in this place and they've taught my mother, a woman who once ran a classroom of 35 children, to stop asking for help, to stop expecting it, to be small and silent and grateful for whatever scraps they give her. That is not neglect. That is erasure. Sunday night, 72 hours of footage. I have everything organized on my laptop. Time-stamped clips, clinical notes, photographs from my first visit, the medication log discrepancies, the bank statement showing Derek's transfers, and the email notification I sent to the facility about the camera, the email no one acknowledged. Monday morning, I make 2 phone calls. The first is to the Virginia Department of Health, Office of Licensure and Certification, the state agency that oversees nursing facilities. I file a formal complaint. I describe the conditions I observed. I offer to provide footage. The intake coordinator asks me to submit everything through their secure portal. I do it during my lunch break at work, sitting in my car in the hospital parking garage. The second call is to Russell Webb. He's an elder abuse attorney based in Charlottesville. A colleague at the hospital gave me his name after I described what I'd found. Webb has handled 40-plus cases against long-term care facilities in Virginia. I send him a summary and 3 clips. Calls me back within the hour. This isn't just neglect, he says. This is criminal. He walks me through the next steps. File with the state. File simultaneously with the county commonwealth's attorney, Virginia's version of a district attorney. The footage is admissible because Mom consented and I notified the facility in writing. The bank records add a layer. Derek was routing her care funds while choosing the cheapest facility available. That's financial exploitation of an incapacitated or elderly adult under Virginia code. We move on 2 tracks, Webb says, civil and criminal. I handle civil. The Commonwealth's attorney handles criminal. They'll coordinate. I call Linda Oakes. Linda, I have everything on camera. Can you and your mother give a statement about your experience at Meadow Ridge? She doesn't hesitate. I've been waiting for someone to ask. Monday evening, I call Derek. I don't plan a speech. I just say what needs to be said. I'm moving Mom out of Meadow Ridge. I need you to sign the transfer paperwork. Excuse me. She's dehydrated. She has a pressure injury. Her medications aren't being administered. I filed a complaint with the state. I need you to sign the transfer authorization as POA. You can't just do that. I have power of attorney. I make the decisions. Then make this one. Sign the transfer. Tori, you visited one time and now you're trying to take over. When was the last time you visited Mom, Derek? Not called, not texted, visited. Walked through the front door, signed the visitor log, and sat in her room. More silence. Kind that answers the question on its own. I've been busy. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. I understand. $12,000, Derek. The line goes quiet. I can hear him breathing. I know about the LLC. I know about the transfers. $2,400 a month from Mom's account into D. Nunn Property Holdings. The company you told us was shut down. That was for management fees. Administrative costs. Management of what? You chose the cheapest facility in the county and pocketed the difference. You never visited her. You never checked on her. You told me you drove out there yourself. And you lied. He hangs up. 10 minutes later, my phone rings. Derek's name on the screen. I pick up. His voice is different now, lower, controlled. The voice of a man who's just realized someone has seen the books. What do you know about the LLC? Everything. Tori, listen to me. No, you listen. I have an attorney. The state has the footage. You should probably get your own lawyer, Derek. I hang up. My hands are steady. I'm about to tell you what happened when every piece of evidence I'd collected landed on the same table at the same time. But before I do, if this story is hitting close to home, share it with someone who needs to hear it. One share could be the reason someone checks on their parent tonight. And if you've been in my position, fighting for someone who couldn't fight for themselves, tell me in the comments. You are not alone. Let me finish this. Wednesday morning, 6 days after I first walked into room 118 and found my mother in the dark. I'm in the Meadow Ridge parking lot at 8:45. Russell Webb is in the car next to mine reviewing his file. Linda Oakes pulls in 10 minutes later. 9 sharp, a white state vehicle parks near the entrance. 2 people step out, a woman in business attire carrying a clipboard and a man in khakis with a lanyard and a digital camera. Janet Pritchard, Lead Health Inspector, Virginia Department of Health, Office of Licensure and Certification. Her partner is a compliance officer. This is not a scheduled inspection. This is an emergency survey triggered by the footage and the formal complaint. No 48-hour notice, no warning call. They walk in the front door the same way I did, except when they press the buzzer, someone answers in under a minute. Funny how that works when the car in the lot has state plates. Webb and I follow the inspectors inside. Linda is behind us. The front desk aide sees the lanyards and the clipboard and picks up the phone. Within 4 minutes, Craig Petton appears. The administrator I was told doesn't come in every day is here before the inspectors finish signing in. He's wearing a tie. His face is the color of skim milk. Janet Pritchard doesn't introduce herself with pleasantries. She holds up her credentials. Mr. Petton, we're conducting an emergency survey based on a formal complaint filed with our office. We'll need access to all patient rooms in the East Wing, staffing schedules for the past 90 days, medication administration records, maintenance logs for call bell systems, and your complaint response file. Craig's mouth opens, closes, opens again. I'll need to call our corporate office. You can call whoever you'd like. We're starting now. The inspectors move through the East Wing like weather, methodical, relentless. Room by room. Room 112, call button inoperable. Cord is intact, but the connection at the wall is corroded. Maintenance hasn't serviced it. Room 114, Linda's mother's room. The mattress has a visible stain. The medication log shows the same handwriting for 7 consecutive days. The patient's weight chart is blank for the last 3 weeks. Room 118, Mom's room. Janet Pritchard documents the replaced sheets, the barrier cream I applied, the reconnected call button. She notes it in her report. Evidence of family intervention to address deficiencies. In total, they inspect 8 rooms. 4 have non-functional call buttons. 3 have soiled or unchanged linens. 6 medication logs show irregularities. Then Janet asks for the staffing records. Craig produces a binder. The schedule shows 3 aides assigned to the night shift every night for the past 90 days. 3 aides for 40 rooms. Below minimum but legal. Janet asks for the time clock records. Craig hesitates, then produces a second binder. Time clock records tell a different story. On 14 of the last 30 nights, only one aide clocked in. On 6 of those nights, the sole aide on record clocked out before the shift ended and clocked back in within the final hour. Janet looks at Craig across the table in the facility's small conference room. Her pen is still. Mr. Peton, your submitted staffing reports to the state show 3 aides on duty every night. Your time clock records show 1 aide for nearly half those shifts. Which document is accurate? Craig loosens his tie. We've had significant hiring challenges. Which document is accurate, Mr. Peton? He asks to call his attorney. Janet makes a note. The compliance officer photographs both binders. Webb leans toward me in the hallway. Falsifying staffing reports to a state agency. That's a felony in Virginia. Webb sent Derek a letter on Monday. Certified mail. Signature required. The letter requested Derek's presence at Meadow Ridge on Wednesday at 11 a.m. to discuss Margaret Nunn's care plan and power of attorney status. Did not mention the inspection. Did not mention the footage. Did not mention the LLC. Derek arrives at 11:15. He's wearing a polo shirt and sunglasses pushed up on his forehead. He signs the visitor log, the first time his name has appeared in it since the day Mom moved in. He walks into the community room expecting a conversation with his sister and maybe a facility manager. Instead, he finds me, Webb, Janet Pritchard, the compliance officer, Linda Oakes, and Craig Peton, who is sitting at the far end of the table looking like a man watching his career dissolve in real time. Derek stops in the doorway. His eyes go from me to Webb to Janet's state credentials on the table. He doesn't sit down. What is this? Webb speaks first. Mr. Nunn, thank you for coming. I'm Russell Webb, attorney representing your mother, Margaret Nunn. We're here to discuss concerns about her care and your role as her power of attorney. My role? I've been managing. Mr. Nunn, our records show no visitor sign-in under your name at this facility. Not once in 5 months. Derek's jaw tightens. I called. I checked in my phone. The facility's incoming call logs show no calls from your registered number. Derek looks at me. I watch his face do the math. The realization that this isn't a family argument anymore. This is a room full of people with documents. Tori, can we talk about this privately? I hold his gaze. No. Everything you needed to say you should have said 5 months ago in Mom's room. Webb opens a folder. He places 3 printed pages on the table, bank statements highlighted in yellow. Mr. Nunn, your mother's long-term care insurance provides $6,200 per month. Meadow Ridge's rate is $3,800. The difference, $2,400 per month, has been transferred automatically to an account held by D. Nunn Property Holdings, LLC. He places a 4th page, the Virginia corporate filing. D. Nunn Property Holdings, LLC. Sole member Derek Allen Nunn filed 14 months ago. Derek's hands are flat on the table. His fingers are spread. I know this posture. It's the way he sat at Dad's kitchen table when Mom asked him about the dent in her car when he was 17. That was for expenses, he says. Management fees. I've been coordinating her care. What care? I say it before Webb can. You chose the cheapest facility in the county. You never visited. You never answered when the staff called. You sent me the same photo twice and told me it was taken on 2 different days. Craig Peton shifts in his chair. He's watching this unfold the way a man watches a car accident, horrified, relieved it isn't him this time. Webb continues. 5 months of transfers, $12,000 total. Under Virginia Code, the unauthorized use of a power of attorney to divert an elderly person's funds constitutes financial exploitation. Janet Pritchard makes a note. She will include the financial records in her referral to the Commonwealth's attorney. And then Mom is there. An aide, not Ray, not Donna, a different aide I haven't seen before, wheels her into the community room. Mom asked to come. She wanted to be present. She looks at Derek. Her voice is quiet, but it fills every corner of the room. Is that true, Derek? He doesn't answer. I gave you that power because I trusted you. Derek stares at the table. He doesn't look up. That afternoon, the county sheriff's department arrives at Meadow Ridge. 2 deputies walk through the front entrance at 3:15 p.m. Staff members in the hallway stop what they're doing. An aide carrying a food tray freezes mid-step. The receptionist picks up the phone, then puts it down. Donna Hale is in the break room. They find her there, still in scrubs, drinking a Diet Coke. The deputies inform her she's being placed under arrest for criminal neglect of an incapacitated adult, a Class 6 felony in Virginia. She stares at them like they're speaking a language she doesn't understand. They cuff her. They walk her through the hallway, past the nurse's station, past room 118 and out the front door. Ray Schofield is arrested at his apartment 2 hours later. Same charge, criminal neglect, plus misdemeanor larceny for the removal of personal property from a resident's room. The wool blanket, Dad's last gift. Craig Petton is arrested the following morning at his office. The charges are heavier: felony falsification of state health records and criminal neglect of an incapacitated adult in his capacity as facility administrator with knowledge of the conditions. 3 arrests. 3 people in handcuffs. The local news runs the story that evening. Aerial footage of the building. A reporter standing in the parking lot. A statement from the sheriff's office. I'm standing outside Meadow Ridge when the second deputy car pulls away with Donna in the back seat. Linda Oakes is next to me. Neither of us speaks. There's nothing to say that the moment doesn't already hold. A reporter from the local station walks up and asks if I'll give a statement on camera. This isn't my story, I tell her. It's my mother's. You can ask her when she's ready. 3 police cars. 3 sets of handcuffs. All of it started because a phone didn't ring at 6:15. Webb files an emergency guardianship petition with the circuit court on Thursday. The judge reviews the evidence, footage, medical documentation, financial records, and grants temporary guardianship to me within 72 hours pending a full hearing. Derek's power of attorney is suspended. I spend that weekend visiting every rated facility within 30 minutes of my apartment. I read inspection reports. I check Medicare.gov ratings. I walk the hallways unannounced. I talk to staff. I look at the floors. I count the aides. I press the call buttons. Crestwood Senior Living is 25 minutes from my front door. 4-star Medicare rating. Clean hallways. Natural light. A garden that's actually tended. The director of nursing meets with me personally and answers every question I ask without checking a binder or making a phone call. She knows her patient-to-aide ratios by memory. I transfer Mom the following Tuesday. The ambulance transport team loads her into the van at Meadow Ridge at 8 a.m. I drive ahead to Crestwood to meet her. When they wheel her into her new room, south-facing window, afternoon sun, a view of the garden, she reaches for my hand. There's a bird feeder out there. There is, she says. Your father would have liked this room. I unpack her things. New sheets, new blanket. I bought a cream-colored cable knit from the same craft fair company in Roanoke, as close to the original as I could find. New framed photo on the nightstand. Same family portrait, the one Ray took, reprinted and framed. I plug in the call button and test it. A nurse appears in the doorway within 90 seconds. Just testing it, I say. The nurse smiles. Happy to hear it works. Can I get Mrs. Nunn anything? Mom looks at me. Her eyes are wet, but she's smiling. Thank you for hearing the silence, she says. Webb files the civil lawsuit the same week. Margaret Nunn versus Meadow Ridge Care Center, LLC. Complaint alleges negligence, breach of duty of care, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and violation of Virginia's Patient Abuse and Neglect Act. The damages include medical costs for treating the dehydration and pressure injury, the cost of relocation and transport, and compensatory damages for emotional suffering. Separately, the Commonwealth's attorney opens a criminal investigation. Donna Hale, Ray Schofield, and Craig Petton are each facing arraignment. Charges range from Class 1 misdemeanor to Class 6 felony, depending on the count. Convicted on the felony charges, Craig is looking at up to 5 years. The Virginia Department of Health issues an immediate jeopardy citation against Meadow Ridge, the most severe category of deficiency. The facility has 23 calendar days to demonstrate corrective action or face license revocation. A temporary management team is installed to oversee operations while the investigation continues. And then something happens that I didn't expect. Webb calls me on Friday afternoon. 4 more families contacted my office today. All of them have relatives at Meadow Ridge. All of them have concerns they were afraid to report. 4 families. 4 sets of adult children who lay awake at night wondering if something was wrong. For people who didn't have a camera or the clinical training to read a medication log or an attorney's number saved in their phone. They just had a feeling. That sick, low feeling in your gut that says this isn't right. Mom's case opened the door. Linda's statement gave it weight. The footage made it undeniable. But it's the 4 families who called after the story broke that reminded me. My mother wasn't the only one at the end of a dark hallway. She was just the one whose daughter drove 4 hours to check. Derek is not arrested. Not yet. The Commonwealth's attorney is investigating the financial exploitation separately. It's a different statute, different evidence chain, different timeline. But the wheels are turning. His power of attorney has been revoked by court order. The LLC's bank account is frozen pending the investigation. $12,000 in transferred funds is documented, traced, and flagged. He calls me on a Sunday night. I almost don't pick up. Tori, please don't talk to the reporters. I haven't talked to anyone, Derek. They're going to ruin me. If this gets out, it's already out. It was on the news. The news didn't use my name. Not yet. Silence. Tori, I was drowning. The investment went sideways. I owed people money. I wasn't thinking straight. You chose the cheapest facility you could find, Derek. You moved our mother into a place you never visited and you took the difference. That's not drowning. That's a decision. I thought she'd be fine. I thought it was all the same. It's not the same. You would have known that if you'd walked through the front door even once. He doesn't say he's sorry. He says, "You're going to ruin me twice more." And then he hangs up. I sit with the phone in my lap for a long time after that. Here's what nobody tells you about holding your family accountable. The moment you win, you also lose. Derek is still my brother. He taught me to ride a bike. He drove me to my first day of nursing school. He carried Dad's casket. And he stole from our mother while she lay in the dark asking for water. Both things are true. I don't know how to hold them at the same time. I'm not sure I ever will, but Mom is safe. And right now, that's the only math that matters. The investigation at Meadow Ridge expands over the next 2 weeks. The state issues 12 formal citations covering staffing fraud, medication administration failures, call system maintenance neglect, inadequate documentation, and failure to report known deficiencies. Temporary management team discovers that 4 aides listed on the payroll hadn't worked a shift in over 60 days. They were being paid as ghost employees to meet the state's minimum staffing ratio on paper. 6 residents are transferred out by their families within the first week after the arrests. Linda moves her mother to Crestwood. She's in the room across the hall from Mom. The two of them eat lunch together now. Linda's mom calls mine the teacher and Mom calls hers the reader because she always has a paperback in her lap. The local paper runs a follow-up. A state delegate from the district issues a statement calling for legislation requiring nursing facilities to report complaint response times and make them publicly available. Press calls it Maggie's Rule. It's not a law yet. It's not even a bill, but someone said it out loud, and that's how these things start. 2 weeks after the arrests, I receive a letter at my apartment. No return address. Inside is a single handwritten page on lined notebook paper. Dear Miss Nunn, my name is Bethany Crane. I was a CNA at Meadow Ridge for 11 months. I quit in January because I couldn't watch it anymore and I was too afraid to report it. I kept a journal every shift, dates, times, what I saw, what I couldn't fix. I'm sending a copy to your attorney. I wanted to report it. I was afraid I'd lose my job. I don't know if that's a good enough reason, but thank you for doing what I couldn't. Sincerely, Bethany. I read it twice. Then I call Webb. In a small town, news doesn't spread, it saturates. Everyone at the grocery store knows. The pharmacist knows. The woman at the post office gives me a look when I visit Mom that weekend. Half sympathy, half something I can't name. Meadow Ridge employed 43 people. It was the 3rd largest employer in the county. The arrests affected families beyond the residents. The staff have families too, and some of them did nothing wrong. There are people in town who think I destroyed jobs. A woman I've never met messages me on social media. Those people were just trying to make a living. Not everyone has your privilege. I don't respond. There's no argument that fixes the distance between her reality and mine. But I save the message because it reminds me that consequences don't land in a vacuum. They ripple. More messages come and most of them don't look like that one. A woman in North Carolina whose father is in a facility 3 states away. A man in Ohio who hasn't been able to visit his mother in 8 months. A daughter in Texas who found the same yellowed sheets and empty water cups and was told she was overreacting. Derek hasn't called. He's been summoned to the Commonwealth's attorney's office for a deposition. His LLC is under audit. $12,000 is still frozen. Mom doesn't talk about Derek much. She doesn't refuse to see him, but she's clear about her terms. Not until he tells the truth, she says. To me. Not to a lawyer. To me. On a Wednesday morning at 6:15, my phone rings. I pick up before the second ring. Good morning, baby, Mom says. The sun is up. It's the first time since Meadow Ridge that her voice sounds like hers, full, steady, present. Good morning, Mom. Tell me about the sun. 2 weeks later, Derek sends me a text. It's long, 4 paragraphs. I read it standing in my kitchen at 7 a.m. with coffee going cold in my hand. He says he was drowning in debt. He says the real estate investment went bad and people were threatening him. He says he wasn't thinking straight. He says he chose Meadow Ridge because it was the only place he could afford that would still leave enough margin to keep up with his payments. He says he convinced himself it was fine. He says he never meant to hurt Mom. He does not say, "I'm sorry." He says, "You don't know what it's like to be the one who stayed." I don't respond right away. I let the message sit for 2 days. I go to work. I visit Mom. I water my plants. I sleep. On Friday evening, I call him. He picks up on the first ring, which tells me he's been waiting. Derek, I'm going to say this once, and I need you to hear it. I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to campaign against you. I'm not going to talk to reporters about you. The court will handle the financial investigation, and I won't interfere with that process. He's quiet. But I will never trust you with anything that involves Mom again. Not her care, not her money, not her decisions. That's over. Tori, you need to own what you did. Not explain it, not justify it. Own it. Until you can do that, we don't have anything else to talk about. The call lasts 90 seconds. When it's over, I sit in the quiet of my apartment and feel the shape of what used to be there, the version of our family that no longer exists. I grieve it once completely and then I move forward. Mom's room at Crestwood faces south. In the morning, sunlight comes through the window and lands on the foot of her bed. She says it wakes her up gently, the way the sun used to come through the kitchen window in the old house. On the nightstand, the new family photo, the new blanket, a glass of water full with condensation on the outside because the aide refills it twice a day without being asked. She's gained 4 pounds. The pressure injury on her sacrum has healed. Her blood pressure is managed. She takes her medication at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. I've checked. The physical therapist at Crestwood is a woman named Grace who calls Mom Mrs. Maggie and doesn't rush her. Mom can walk 20 feet with a walker now. Last week, she walked to the garden on her own and sat on the bench by the bird feeder for 40 minutes. She started a book club. Of course she did. She's a retired 3rd-grade teacher with a captive audience. They're reading To Kill a Mockingbird. 3 other residents show up every Tuesday afternoon in the community room, and Mom leads the discussion the way she led her classroom, patient, prepared, and completely in her element. Linda visits her mother across the hall every weekend. Sometimes we overlap. We sit in the garden and drink coffee from the vending machine and talk about nothing important, which is the best kind of conversation when you've spent weeks talking about things that mattered too much. One afternoon, Mom says something I carry with me. I'm not angry at your brother. I'm sad, but I'm not scared anymore. She says it like she's putting down something heavy, carefully, with both hands. I believe her. People ask me if I would have done anything differently. The answer is yes. I would have gone sooner. I had the signs. I heard the shorter calls. I noticed the identical photos. I felt the silence building before it arrived. And I waited because I trusted someone else to do what I should have done myself. That guilt doesn't go away. It sits next to the relief like a neighbor you don't talk to but can't avoid. I'm glad I went. I'm glad I found her in time. But 3 weeks is a long time for a 78-year-old woman to be alone in a dark room with no one to call. Here's what I've learned, and I'm sharing it not because I have all the answers, but because I wish someone had said it to me. Loving your family doesn't mean trusting blindly. Sometimes love sounds like, show me the proof. Sometimes it sounds like, I'm coming to check for myself. Sometimes it looks like driving 4 hours on a Thursday because a phone didn't ring. And if someone tells you you're overreacting, if they sigh and say, she's fine and trust me, and you don't see the full picture, listen to the part of you that doesn't believe them. That part is usually right. I didn't need a medical degree to find what was wrong at Meadow Ridge. I needed a $35 camera and the willingness to look at what it showed me. You don't need to be a nurse to protect someone you love. You just need to show up, ask questions, look at the sheets, check the water cup, press the call button, see who comes, and if nobody comes, be the one who does. That's not overreacting. That's love with its eyes open. This morning at 6:15, my phone rang. Good morning, baby. I'm leading the book club today. We're finishing To Kill a Mockingbird. Dorothy says Atticus reminds her of her late husband. I told her, that's the highest compliment a fictional character can receive. I laughed. Mom, you taught third grade for 35 years. You were born to do this. Well, they're a little older than my usual students, but the principles are the same. Be patient, ask good questions, and always have snacks. I can hear the garden through her window, birds, a lawnmower, someone laughing down the hall. The lawsuit is ongoing. Webb expects Meadow Ridge's insurance carrier to propose a settlement within the next 2 months. Criminal cases against Donna, Ray, and Craig are moving through arraignment. Derek has hired an attorney. Commonwealth's attorney has scheduled his deposition for next month. The LLC is still frozen. I visit Mom every Saturday morning, 25 minutes from my apartment. I bring pastries from the bakery on Main Street, almond croissants, her favorite. We eat them in the garden and she tells me about the book club and the bird feeder and the aide who brings her extra cream for her coffee without being asked. I don't have a camera in her room anymore. I don't need one. I know the staff by name. I know the shift schedule. I know that when Mom presses her call button, someone comes. Every morning at 6:15, my phone rings and every morning I answer before the second ring. That's how I know everything is okay. Not because someone told me. Not because I trusted someone else to check. Because I showed up and I keep showing up and I will keep showing up for as long as she needs me. That's the only promise that matters. So here's my question for you, and I want you to really think about it. If your parents stopped calling tomorrow, what would you do? Would you wait or would you drive? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And if you know someone who has a parent in a care facility right now, send them this video. It might be the push they need to make that unannounced visit. There are more stories like mine in the description below. Click one and I'll see you there. Thank you for listening to my mom's story.